Hello and welcome to the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. This is episode number 55. My name's Ismael San Juan. Thank you so much for being here. Federer and Djokovic punched their ticket into the Final 8 on Maniac Monday. Belgium out of the Euros, another disappointment for the golden generation. Spain versus Italy, Denmark versus England. We have our semifinals for Euro 2020. Chris Paul finally makes it to the finals after the Suns eliminate the Clippers in Game 6. Congratulations to Chris Paul. Also, my finals prediction, Bucks versus Suns. Who do I think is going to win? NCAA finally allows players to get paid. We'll touch on that. And Sha'Carri Richardson gets a suspension for 30 days for testing positive for weed. All of that on this episode of the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. Let's get started. Federer and Djokovic played on Maniac Monday at Wimbledon in the round of 16, and they have both successfully punched their ticket into the Final 8. Djokovic just putting another masterful performance, beating Garin in 3 sets, 6-2, 6-4, 6-2. Just completely dominated Garin. To be fair, I don't think Djokovic really had to expand too much energy. It looked like he was cruising for most of the time. He did not play his best game, and I think that's fine. Djokovic is a monster. He's playing some of the best tennis in his career. Garin, he's trying to move up the ranks, but he couldn't really put too much pressure on Djokovic. Djokovic probably played his B game today, and that was more than enough. Just goes to show how good Djokovic is. No surprise there. He's the overwhelming favorite for Wimbledon, and so far, you're just trying to look. You're trying to look at the rankings. You're trying to look at the table and see where is anyone even going to get a set on Djokovic, and it's looking very hard. He is on fire right now. That's one of the things that sets these, not just Djokovic, but like the big three, but especially Djokovic right now, away from like all the other top 5 players rated in the world. Like Zverev, he got eliminated today. He made it to the semifinals in the French Open at Roland Garros, and he's eliminated now in the round of 16. Tsitsipas, he made it to the finals, put up a fight against Djokovic, and he's out in the first round. Like, it just goes to show you the levels that these mammoths of the sport are at, especially Djokovic right now. Like, he just doesn't crack. There's not a mental lapse. There's not a drop in play, and if there is, it's just for like a point or 2 points. It's never for a whole set. It's never for a game. It's never for a whole match. It's just what we're seeing from Djokovic is not just the skill wise, but like the mental fortitude that he has to always stay focused, to always be hungry. Good for Djokovic, man. He's playing some scary tennis right now, and he should be the favorite. He is the favorite, and I would be more surprised if he does not finish with his 20th. But my boy Federer also punches his ticket into the Final 8. Good job for him. This is the furthest anyone of his age has ever gone at Wimbledon. Age 39. He's still getting it done. It was good. He played Sonego. He beat him in 3 sets, 7-5, 6-4, 6-2. So not as handily as Djokovic took care of Garin, but he got stronger as the match went on. And at the end, he was just completely dominating him. He sucked the soul out of Sonego. But yeah, I think Federer, he kind of benefited in the first set. They were tied 5-5. He was up 5-4. It looked like Federer was going to close him out 6-4. But Sonego comes back strong, wins his set. When it was 5-3, he wins his set 40-love. And then he surprises Federer on Federer's serve to make it 5-5. And then they're battling it out when the game on the game where they were tied 5-5. They were stuck at deuce for a while. Sonego went up like 3 times to advantage, but he couldn't close it out. Federer had gone up a couple times, and then it started to rain. So there was like a 23-minute delay between Federer and Sonego resume play. Federer was on advantage when the rain break started, and when they came back, Sonego faults 2 times and loses the set on his serve without even getting a rally in. So that was very disappointed. Sonego played it off with a smile when they were switching sides, but I know that must have hurt. I know, like if if I'm Sonego and we're moving into like another, because then Federer went on to just win his serve the next round. He won 7-5. So I know Sonego must have been thinking like, man, what if there was no rain delay? Like, could I have won that set and things would have gone completely different? Once I'm losing the second set 6-4, it's probably still lingering in my mind. Like, damn, I should have won that first set, or I could have ended way different if the rain didn't delay the match. But nevertheless, Federer has gone stronger from round 1 now to the round of 16, moving along to the final 8. He's definitely picking up his play. It looks like he's gaining confidence. Even in his post-game interviews, he's starting to get like his little swagger back. He's talking more confidently. He's cracking jokes. He looks way more relaxed. He looks a little more lighthearted. He's really enjoying himself now. At the beginning of Wimbledon, he won his first round because I forgot who his opponent was, but they got injured. So he was kind of like, you never want to win this way. I feel bad for him. Obviously the correct response for when something like that happens. But he was in trouble. He could have lost in the first round, second round, and then he picks up his play in the third round. And now round of 16, this is probably the best we've seen him. And now he's starting to, you could just feel that he's starting to gain confidence. There's some pictures out there with Federer like hitting jump shots and just hitting some shots where he's like completely stretched out. And it's just amazing to see Federer playing at this level, at this age. It's amazing. I hope Djokovic, I hope Nadal are able to go that deep into their careers too, because then that would mean they still have like 5-6 years left. And that would be amazing for the sport. That would be amazing for the fans. I know I want to be seeing them keep playing forever, especially because this next generation just can't seem to take that step, can't seem to consistently like get into semifinals, consistently get into finals, consistently get at least into the final 8. Like we want to see, Tsitsipas, Zverev. They're these guys that are supposed to be taking that next step, and it's just taking them a while, or maybe they'll never do it, but it's taking them a while for them to take the bull by the horns and just continue to be dominant. Like, they're ranked high, but when it comes to the majors, they're not consistently getting where we would be comfortable. If Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal retire, these guys are going to be there to take the flag, take the reins, and carry the sport of tennis forward. But nevertheless, maybe this next generation behind them is going to have more time to build themselves up, as Federer still seems to have gas in the tank. And if I'm being honest, there's probably some people left that could give Joe, because everyone knows Djokovic is the favorite. Rightfully so. Djokovic should be the favorite. He's earned it. He's playing amazing. He's hardly breaking a sweat. They're saying, I'm hearing that Berrettini could give him some trouble. And pretty much that's it. Like, he should be, as far as his side on the table, he should make it to the final. Not too worried about this side. But if Federer, like, the thing that Federer, I want to see a Federer versus Djokovic final. I think everyone wants to see that. It'll be great, like a rematch from 2019. And not just because I think Federer still has like room to grow, to get to like a couple notches to get back to where he was. Maybe he won't get to like the top Federer that we all know, but he could get close to it. And he's moving his way up. We're still waiting to see who he's gonna play, because Medvedev versus Murkos got delayed. Rain delay. I think they're gonna resume tomorrow, so we'll see who he plays. Either whoever he plays, it should be a fun match. Hopefully Federer makes it to the semis, makes it to the finals, because Djokovic, he could just drain you. He could mentally he's mentally so much. He has more fortitude. He has more mental fortitude than anybody else left on the field. So I think he could just punk anybody else, even if they have a stronger serve than Federer, or they could move a little bit better than him at this point in his career. I think Federer just has a lot of mental fortitude too. He's been there, he's done that. So I think that would be the best final. I think if it's not Federer, yeah, there's some other players out there that have like a bigger serve and harder serve, and they can move a little better. But I think once they get down to Djokovic, they'll just be defeated. They won't be able to keep up. But what do you guys think? Is there anyone left on the table that could potentially upset Djokovic? Is Djokovic just impressing so much that like the rest of the field, you'll take Djokovic against the rest of the field? Because I know I would. That was my prediction since the beginning of before Wimbledon. I'm happily surprised with what I've seen from Federer. I'm disappointed that Zverev, that Tsitsipas aren't still left. But I'm happy with what I've seen at Wimbledon. But yeah, do you guys think anyone left on the field could potentially upset Djokovic? And if not, who do you think is going to make it to the final? Do you guys think we're also headed for a Federer Djokovic final? Because I hope we are. I know some other people, are rooting for other people, but let me know what you guys think. Moving along, Belgium has been a disappointment for the last 10 years. The golden generation, we've had like a couple tournaments now where they've just not been able to get to a final. The Euros, the World Cup is just getting along in the years where the Belgian team just seems to keep disappointing. Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, Eden Hazard, Thibaut Courtois. We've had other people come and go in their rosters, but this is the golden generation for Belgium. And they bow out of Euro 2020, losing to Italy 2-1. Italy, who missed the last World Cup. Italy, who looked like they were, they were going towards soccer purgatory, football purgatory, where they're just going to be like a mediocre team in England. England is super competitive. I mean, not England, Europe. Europe is super competitive. So once you lose your top end talent, then you could just be stuck in like the middle, where you just, you keep competing, you keep, maybe qualifying at Euros, qualifying at World Cups. You miss some, it becomes like a normal thing for you to miss, like a World Cup or like some Euros, because, Europe is so competitive and your roster is just not built like that no more. Italy, it looked like they were heading towards that way. I didn't want that to happen, but it looked like they were heading that way. They flip it on their head. They do a complete 180, and now they're in the semifinals. Their team is fun again to watch. But this Italy team that missed the World Cup in 2018 is now, eliminating Belgium with their golden generation. And it's just like, if not today at the Euros, when is it going to happen for Belgium? Is it going to happen next year in next year's World Cup? Because they just seem to be disappointing year in and year out. So they lost to the quarterfinals to Argentina in 2014. They're still young at that point. I remember they beat Team USA, I believe, in the round of 16. That was a great game. It was entertaining. And then in the 2016 Euros, they lost to Wales. They should have never lost to Wales. That was probably the biggest disappointment for this generation. Portugal went on to win that in the final against France. Belgium, on paper, had a way better roster than Portugal at the time. You look at the roster that Portugal has right now, that's not the roster they had in 2016. And Belgium, if they beat Wales, they're right there. They could have potentially made some noise in Euro 2016. In the World Cup, they finished in third place, losing to France. All right, France went on to win the World Cup. They had the deepest team in the world. That, not too bad. Like, it's fine. It's fine to lose. That one's not really like a blemish. Like, that one makes sense. But this time around, like, you got to see France is out. France was out. Portugal, you guys eliminated Portugal. Germany is out. A lot of the big hitters are out. Like they should have been extremely more focusing what was left on the field. Like, damn, like we're potentially the big favorites now that all these other big hitters are out, and they fell. And honestly, they scored their goal on a penalty, deserved, but like their players, De Bruyne, he keeps getting hurt. This was the best Romelu Lukaku we've had in a while, so I was excited to see them. Thibaut Courtois, I think he should still have this World Cup and the next one. We'll see how Lukaku is able to maintain. He's a big guy, so he might be prone to injuries as he ages. Their center backs are getting really old. They're like, their average age for that starting back three was like 33, I believe. They were like 35, 34, 32. So I don't know. Belgium has always had, a lot of names going up forward, and they've always been weak at the back. They haven't, at first, they had the beast center backs in the middle, but they didn't have wingbacks that could really get the job done. That was their weak point. Now their center backs are also getting old. Like, I don't know how many more years Belgium has left from those center backs, and it's not like they have like elite talent coming through the ranks. For them, they do have a couple players that you should get excited about. But like Belgium kind of reminds me. I'm Mexican American. I know, and the golden generation gets used a lot. Mexico had a golden generation that won the U17s for Mexico back in like 2006, I believe. It consisted of Giovanni Dos Santos. It consisted of Carlos Vela, Villaluz. Ochoa didn't win it, but he was just a couple years ahead of them. Hector Moreno, like Guardado. All of these guys were supposed to be the golden generation for Mexico, and they flopped. Giovanni didn't really do much. Vela was the most talented, but he didn't have the mentality to go real far with football, and it could happen in the blink of an eye. Like one day, you're the next generation, and the 2014 World Cup comes around, and all these players are out of teams. They're not getting first team minutes. Giovanni is in the MLS, or he's a sub for Villarreal. He's not really playing. His brother is in the MLS. Vela's in the MLS. It just, everything happens in the blink of an eye. And I know Belgium, their golden generation is on a whole different level than the Mexican generation. But like I'm telling you, like it could go in the blink of an eye. Because I'm pretty sure when Belgium fans, any fan of these players in 2014 were probably looking at it like, damn, they have a long way to go. They have so much time. They're all puppies. They're all young. They have a long way to go. And now here, look at us, 7 years later in Euro 2020, and they still haven't won anything, and the time is ticking. And I hope Team USA, this is the best team that Team USA has had probably ever. They're starting to get players playing for big teams, playing all over the place, playing all over the Europe. I hope, they take advantage, because, Belgium, for all the disappointment that they've had, they've third place in the World Cup, semifinals in the World Cup. They've done some noise. If Team USA is even able to do that, that should be good. But man, for Belgium, I really expected more when they were coming up, and you saw how good Kevin De Bruyne was, when you saw how big and powerful Lukaku was, Eden Hazard, he was supposed to be a world beater. He was for a while with Chelsea. He was a beast. Right now without Madrid, he's struggling with injury, he's struggling with form, but maybe it's not over. I think it's over, because in the next year's World Cup, you got all the European big hitters that are going to be there. France is going to be back with the vengeance. Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo's last World Cup, probably they're going to want to put on a strong showing. Argentina, you get the South American teams coming in. Argentina with probably Messi's last World Cup, they're going to want to make some noise. Brazil with Neymar, they just punched their ticket to the final of the Copa America. It just keeps getting harder. This should have been their year, but it wasn't. So what do you guys think? You think this golden generation for Belgium disappointed? And if you think they have disappointed so far, do you guys think they have an opportunity next year in next year's World Cup to make it all right and possibly win the World Cup? Because I don't. Moving along. Spain versus Italy, Denmark versus England. Spain and Italy, two big names in England, two big nations. Italy, one of the nations that has won the most World Cups. Spain, one of the nations that we all know in modern times, like they've dominated pretty recently. Denmark, Cinderella story from how the Euro started, with Eriksen going down, losing their first two games. Being mentally drained, hearing that Eriksen's punching their tickets into the round of 16 in the last game, upsetting teams. Now they're in the semifinals. England, is it coming home? Southgate seems to be punching all the right numbers, all the right moves in this year's Euros. They're looking exciting. They're looking fun. They scored 4 goals in the quarterfinals. What are my predictions for these games? Man, I think it's going to be fun. Denmark versus England. England is the heavy favorite. They have all the stars. They have the big names. Denmark, what a story. Like, I'm so happy for all of Denmark, for that team, how resilient they are. It's just a beautiful story. I wish I wish that never happened. I wish Eriksson was still healthy, playing for Denmark, rocking the Denmark jersey. But man, what a story! Spain and Italy, two nations that look like they were heading in the wrong direction. Spain, after their golden generation, winning Euros 2008, winning the World Cup in 2010, winning Euros 2012, like unprecedented success by Spain after years and years of not winning a World Cup. They finally got it done, and they looked like they were winning everything. Their players got old. Xavi left, Iniesta left, Casillas left, Ramos is not there, Puyol is not there. There's so many changes in this team, and it just looked like they weren't the same Spain, and they still might not be the same Spain. But look at them; they're in the semifinals of the Euros 2020 with the chance to go to the finals. Italy missing the World Cup in 2018. It looked like they weren't replenishing their talent. It looked like they were playing slow football. Their defense wasn't the same. They weren't as entertaining, and now they're playing some of the best soccer in Europe. They're one of the most entertaining teams. They put on the show in the Euros, and they've been a very, very complete team. It looks like they're having a lot of fun out there. So I'm just very excited for these Euro semifinals. All of my predictions were wrong. I had Portugal and France making it to the finals. I had England getting knocked out in the round of 16, but I didn't really. I had Italy being a dark horse. I didn't have Spain going it this far. Denmark wasn't really in my radar, so I could admit that I've been wrong these Euros 2020, and I know a lot of people, other people have been wrong too. But I'm just excited. I'm excited for these semifinals. My prediction, I think England. I wanted to go with the Denmark upset because it would be a beautiful story, and I like Schmeichel. He's a great keeper, and I like their team. They're not like elite talent, but they all play hard, and you could tell how much that jersey means to them, that crest means to them. So it would be a beautiful. It would just be like a beautiful Cinderella story to see Denmark go into the finals of Euro 2020. But I just think England is on a good one right now. They're on fire. They're playing good. They look like they like each other. Like you hear Reece James on Twitter saying, like, people are trying to like clown on him, like, you didn't even play, why are you celebrating? He's like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're all one team. You hear about Connor Cody being a great leader. Shout out to the Wolves captain. But everything that I'm hearing from the England camp just reeks of a positive environment of Southgate, building the right squad, picking the right players. Everyone seems to be, tied at the hip. They're all on one string. So all of that just gives me a lot of optimism for England to go all the way to the finals. And they took care of Ukraine 4-0. It was an impressive display of football. Sancho finally got to play. He looked dangerous. He had the most take-ons by any of the players on the field. He looks very, very dangerous. So yeah, like Denmark, it would be beautiful. Like I've said, I would love to pick you guys, but I just can't pick against England right now. They're playing beautiful soccer. Their back line looks like it's impenetrable. Maguire, who I've definitely had my fair share of words for over the years, or since I started making this podcast, over the years too. But since I've started making this podcast, I've had my choice of words for Maguire. Like he was not worth the money. He's been a disappointment, but he's been rock solid for England. And Stones too. That pairing has been great. Pickford, he hasn't really had a chance to make a mistake, but when he's been called for, he's been solid. Kane is starting to find the back of the net. Sterling just is picking up steam right now. That team looks solid everywhere. Luke Shaw. It just looks like a really, really good England team. They're starting to play up to their level. And I have them beating Denmark 2-0 in the semifinals. And Italy for Spain, I think that's a little harder to pick. Italy, I believe they are the favorites. They just beat Belgium. They've been playing a good soccer, good football. Spain, they struggled a little bit in the quarterfinals. They had to go to They had to go to penalties, and they beat Switzerland 3-1 in penalties. After it looked like they were going to lose in penalties, they had missed a few of the first ones. but they were able to, Switzerland missed a lot. They skied one over the goal. So Spain squeaked out a victory in quarterfinals, which would lead me to believe that Italy is the team that's going to beat them. I think it's going to be close. I think Spain has a lot of fight in them. Like, this Spain team is nowhere near as talented, as nice on the eyes to see play. They're still lacking a striker to score goals, but they play with a lot of heart and they play with a lot of intensity. And I like that from Spain. But Italy, I think Italy, this is the perfect combination of, young and old players. Their center backs are still leaving it all out on the field. So yeah, I think for me, Italy is the team that's gonna make it to the finals. Like, they have Cellini, they have Bonucci still being rock solid at the back. I forgot who still called them the best partnership in the world. I think that is correct. I think Bonucci and Cellini are the best center back pairing in the world still. Jorginho has not stepped a wrong foot in this Euros 2020. And Insigne, Immobile, they've all been really good. I think Insigne scores a goal against Spain. I think it's going to be a tight, low-scoring affair. I think it's going to be a 1-0 victory. Italy takes out Spain tomorrow. They punch their ticket to the finals. So one more time, the Hard to Handle Sports prediction for the semifinals in Euros 2020. I have Spain losing to Italy 1-0, and I have England beating Denmark 2-0, and I have an Italy versus England final. And I'll give you my prediction when that happens, if it happens. But yeah, what do you guys think? Who do you guys think is going to win in this semifinals of the World Cup? Of the Euros 2020? Let me know down below. Also, Chris Paul punches his ticket to the finals for the first time. Shout out to Chris Paul. After so many years of being in the NBA, he finally gets to the finals, taking down the Clippers out of all teams. You can't write this story. It's an amazing story. It comes full circle. We live in a simulation. How does this happen? In Staples Center, the home that he kind of helped build for the Clippers. It's not really a home. It's still the Laker town. But Chris Paul helped build the Clippers. Chris Paul changed the face of the Clippers, made them into a relevant team. Him and Blake Griffin were a shift in direction for that franchise. Them two players are responsible for how we view the Clippers now. A team that, is going to be a playoff team year in and year out, and a title contender. And, that's how we look at the Clippers now. That's not how we looked at them before. Yeah, we clown on the Clippers. We talk about how, they're the little brothers of the Lakers and they're going to choke, 3-1 lead, all that stuff. But before, they weren't even on your radar. You weren't even talking about the Clippers. They were irrelevant. Now we talk about them. They're a respected team. And Chris Paul was, he was the one that held the flag for the Clippers to put them into this position. And to punch his ticket into the NBA Finals by defeating the Clippers, that's just poetic. That's just going full circle. So I tip my hat for Chris Paul. He had a great game. He dropped 40 on them, I believe, 40-plus points. Just an amazing game. He got under the skin of Beverly, who that's his thing. And he didn't like it when Chris Paul, got the best of him, pushed him in the back. That's a weak move by Beverly. But I digress. Let's focus on Chris Paul. This is a great story. Everywhere he's gone, he's helped them become a better team. When he got drafted, he made the New Orleans better. He was a great player for them. He went to the Clippers. He took him to that next level. He made them relevant. He went to the Rockets. There were one win a game from the finals. And if, D'Antoni maybe plays it a little better, if he doesn't get hurt, they should have probably won that year. They give up on him. He goes to OKC. They're projected to be the worst team in the NBA. People are calling his contract the worst contract in NBA history. And all he does is will them into the playoffs, almost upsetting the Rockets and moving on to the second round of the playoffs. So, and now he goes to the Suns, and people are just like, man, they'll be with Chris Paul and Booker. I could see the Suns maybe getting the 8th seed, maybe getting the 7th seed, 9th, missing the playoffs by a little bit. They'll probably be a playing team highest. Maybe they get a 5th, 6th seed. all they do is get the second seed in the West. I believe the third best record in the NBA or second best record in all of the NBA. And now they're in the finals against the Bucks, and they are the favorites because John is hurt, but they're still the favorites. So Chris Paul might win a championship this year. And, all the interviews, he said that he's never lost faith, that that's not how he's built. And that's just, I believe him, because he could have easily packed it up. He could have easily, just gotten paid. He had a big contract, 4 years, 160 plus million, I believe. He was making 40 plus. He could have just called it. He could have just been like, you know what? I had a great career. I'm going to be a Hall of Famer. Everyone knows I'm one of the best point guards of all time. If I didn't win a championship, like, oh well, like my body is kind of giving up on me. Or like I've been hurt in the postseason like these last couple years. It is what it is. I'll kind of have an excuse. Like, I could have won it, but I got hurt. All those, no one likes excuses, but he could have, played that card. He could have convinced himself. Like, it's not like, I just had bad luck. I had bad luck. They blocked my trade to the Lakers. I could have teamed up with Kobe. I got drafted in New Orleans. A lot of things he could have said to convince himself that it was fine, to call it a career, to just be happy with everything that he did. Like 10 plus times All-Star, first teamer, first ballot Hall of Fame. He could have convinced himself so easily to just been like, I had a great career, and it just wasn't meant to be. And it is what it is. Let me just collect this money, play these last 4 years of this huge contract that I did deserve, but maybe I'm a little older right now. It could have been so easy for Chris Paul to say that and just cash in, play out his last few years, kind of do like what Al Horford is doing right now, not really getting too much playing time, but still collecting money, just sitting back. He could have been a mentor, and everybody would have probably, still clapped the little hands at Chris Paul. Oh, look, he's a good mentor. He's a good guy. Yeah, his contract is really weighing down this team, but look at him. He's still helping this point guard. He's making him better. But no, Chris Paul had that different mentality with OKC carrying them into the playoffs, and now he's getting his dividends. He's getting what he deserves. He's in the finals. So shout out to Chris Paul. That perseverance, the never give up attitude is something that I could really, really respect. I could really try to strive and, try to hone it in for myself. Just be like Kobe, be like Chris Paul, never give up. Always move forward and strive for your best. So shout out to Chris Paul. Great story. He seems like he's a good dude. In the inside of the court, when you're playing him, he could be annoying. He could be a flopper. He could be very savvy and get you into dumb fouls. He could, he's a nuisance, but he's an elite player. So you give him a little bit of room for his tactics or semantics. But outside, he seems like he's a good guy. He donates to charity. So I am happy for Chris Paul. What do you guys think? Are you guys happy for Chris Paul? Do you guys think he's going to win a championship? Is this deserved? I'm happy for Chris Paul. And now, my finals prediction. Bucks versus Suns. The Suns are the favorites for Game 1 and for the series. It looks like John is going to play in the finals from what I'm hearing. Like, they're listing him doubtful for Game 1. So that gives me reason to believe that he should probably be back by Game 3. If they're making it seem like it could all be smoke and mirrors too. Like the Bucks could just do this for every game. Like let's say they get swept, they could do this for every single game. They could do it for Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, Game 4. They could just be like, oh, he's so close, he's doubtful, and he never plays, and it's all just a smoke screen. But I don't think it's a smoke screen. I do think he has a chance to play in Game 1. By the way everyone's talking about him, by the way, all these tweets are coming out, I do think he has a chance to play in the finals. And I would not be shocked. I mean, I would be shocked, but it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities if he plays in Game 1 tomorrow or whenever you're hearing this. If he plays in Game 1, it would not be out of the realm of possibilities. He could definitely suit up for Game 1 from what I'm hearing. So my prediction is he misses Game 1. He gets super close to playing Game 2, but he doesn't. And he comes back for Game 3. for the first game in Milwaukee after the 2 in Phoenix. And if he does come back for game 3 of the NBA Finals, I think they have a good chance of winning. But I do think they need to get a split, because that first game back, I don't think it's going to be the most smooth game for the Bucks. I don't think you just put in Giannis in his first game back and he wins that game and you start rolling. So I do think it's crucial for the Bucks to get a split in Phoenix. Someone has to go off. Middleton, Holiday, Brook Lopez. It's going to be hard because Ayton is a monster. But whoever, one of these guards, Booker and CP3 against Middleton and Drew Holiday. Advantage Suns, but not by so much that you could think that the Bucks are not able to get a victory in Phoenix. Drew Holiday's he has the best defense out of any of the guards. He's gonna give Booker a hard time. I'm gonna say it right here. Booker's gonna get his, but Holiday is gonna make it real hard for him. And the Suns could shoot anybody out the gym, but the Bucks were the best 3-point shooting team in the NBA for the regular season. So it's gonna be a fun game, even without Giannis. And I do think he's coming back game 3, but I think they lose the first game that he comes back because he's gonna be rusty. He's not gonna have played in like 2 weeks. He's definitely not gonna be 100%. And the Bucks play differently when Giannis is on the court, than when Giannis is not on the court. So I do think they lose the first game that Giannis comes back, just because it's going to be an adjustment. So it is crucial that the Bucks get a split in Phoenix. And I think they are going to get a split, just because I think Middleton and Holiday and somebody else, one of the role players, are going to have a good game, and they're just going to click, and they're going to steal one in Phoenix, lose game 3 when Giannis comes back, in my opinion. And then Giannis gets it going, and they win in 6 or 7, probably 7. It's probably going to go 7. Bucks win in 7 in Phoenix. That's my prediction. But if Giannis doesn't come back, if Giannis misses the whole finals or comes back like game 4, game 5, it's done. This series is done. Because I think if Giannis doesn't play game 3, they still lose game 3. And then when he comes back in game 4, that Russ game, the team changing tactics, they lose that one too. But they got to get a split. Giannis comes back. Maybe they even win the first game that he comes back, but I don't think so, because it's a whole different style of play that they play with Giannis and without. And for all those people that have been saying that the Bucks are better without Giannis, I kind of get where you're coming from. Just because the team does look a little like faster pace, and everyone can shoot for the most part when he's not there. But there's no way the Bucks are better without Giannis. There's just absolutely no way that they're better without a 2-time MVP. That's ridiculous. But I would agree that it has unlocked a little bit of Drew Holiday and Middleton to a small degree, because both of them have always had the capabilities of doing this. They've just been hesitant, and more so than hesitant, they're inconsistent. So they've had good games with Giannis too, and now they've strung a couple games together without him. But that could just be part of the inconsistency too. Like, we might see the other side of it in these first 2 games in Phoenix. Like, just because we saw them close out the Hawks and they look hot, they look good, doesn't mean that they're not susceptible or they're not very likely to just put up bad numbers or put up really bad play in these first 2 games against the Suns. And if they do, then people are going to be like, there it is. Well, obviously they're not going to play good without Giannis, and the script is going to completely flip. But I do think they play a little more free without him, but by no chance are the Bucks better without Giannis. I'm rambling. I have the Bucks in 7 if Giannis comes back game 3 or before. If he doesn't come back, or if he comes back game 4, game 5, Suns in 6. That's my prediction. And I'll be happy regardless. I don't hold a grudge against the Suns for eliminating the Lakers. And the Bucks are I like to root for the Bucks. They're easy teams to root for. Giannis, he seems like a really fun, really down-to-earth guy. I've been a fan of him since he was rated 64 on NBA 2K 14, or whenever he came into the draft. I think it was 14, when he was like 64 rated and he had like no potential. I liked him back then. And but yeah, Bucks in 7 if Giannis comes back by game 3 or before. Suns in 6 if he doesn't play or he comes back game 4 or later. That's my official prediction. What do you guys think? Who are you guys rooting for? If you guys are neutrals, are you guys rooting for anybody? You're just hoping for good basketball. I think it's gonna be good finals. A lot of people are harping on it, like Suns versus Bucks. Like no one wanted to see this. I think both teams play really fun basketball, especially the Suns. So I'm excited to see these finals. I hope we get a good, entertaining series. The NCAA is finally allowing players to get paid. They are able to get paid by their name, by their brand, by their likeness, by their face. It's called the NIL. They could get paid for their name, image, and likeness. So this is a step in the right direction. It's finally fair. It's always been fair for players, for collegiate players to get paid. NCAA is a $1 billion corporation. They make so much revenue off these players. The amount of income, of revenue that they're bringing in and year out is ridiculous, and they get to keep all of it. The colleges get to keep everything. The NCAA gets to keep everything. And the players, the ones that are putting on the show, the ones that are providing the product, get no cut of the pie. They get an education. Yeah, they get a scholarship, but that scholarship could be revoked at any time. They're not guaranteed to even finish school. They like so many things could happen. Players could get hurt. Scholarships could get revoked. They get nothing from this pie, in my opinion, till this day. And I'm very happy that this is happening, that this is a reality now. I hope everyone could find some type of deal. There was like a funny one. I can't seem to remember what it was, but I think someone was selling like fireworks or something like small, and they were getting paid for it. And it was just like, yes, like this is what we're talking about. Like it doesn't have to be. Not every athlete is gonna get, the big Nike deal, the big Adidas deal, Under Armour, New Balance. Not everyone's gonna get all these big companies coming to them, hitting them up, being like, hey, do you want to be paid by us? Obviously big players, Zion Williamson would have had no problem just signing for everybody. All these big college players, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, all these players could have been gotten paid by big companies. But it's not just about those. It's about the local companies that kind of want to sponsor the local hero, the local college star. And I think now that we're starting to see it, it's good. It warms my heart. Pay these players. I'm happy for it. Like, let them get some bread. Let them get a cut of the pie. It should have always been like this. They should always have been to market themselves. They should always be able to sign their jersey and, try to raffle it out, make some money. I see no problem with it. I think it's good for the sport. And it's about damn time that the NCAA allows this to happen. And hopefully we move towards players getting paid like directly by the NCAA. I don't know how. There has to be a fair way to make it work. Obviously, the big schools would be able to pay their players more, or I don't know how they could put a cap on it. They should get paid, in my opinion, but this is a step in the right direction. I hope as many players that are out there could find some type of deal, some type of sponsorship, something that could benefit them and, could make them a little more whole, a little more bread as they're in college, because a lot of these players, their name is never going to be bigger than when they're in college, when they're playing the sport. A very small percentage, a very tiny percentage actually make it to be a pro. Some people go overseas to play in their sport. Others just, fizzle out. They just become local heroes. They become people that, look into their yearbooks, look into their old pictures, look into their old Facebook walls, on their old local news articles. They just fizzle out, and that's just missed opportunity. They're never really going to be able to make money off their name as when they're playing for their colleges, when they're a star, when they're local stars, when they're national stars for big college teams, big college programs. So I'm just happy. Like, I'm ecstatic. I'm happy. I hope all these players get paid. And I hope Reggie Bush gets his Heisman back, because that was a big issue with Reggie Bush. He someone was trying to help him out to get his family some type of money, to get him some, some stuff, and he paid for it. They took his records out the NCAA record books. They took his Heisman. they kind of ran his name through the dirt, if we're being honest. And I don't think he deserved that. He was for I think Reggie Bush was just trying to do what a lot of these players are trying to do, and some of them probably got away with it too. Like they're the stars. They're the ones that are bringing the income. They're the ones that people are tuning in to see. So give Reggie Bush his Heisman bag, and I'm just glad the NCAA athletes are finally getting paid. They're finally getting their seat at the table. They're finally getting a cut of the pie, and they're going to get some bread, and I'm super happy for them. What do you guys think? I know there's some people out there that are like, this is going to ruin college sports. They're not going to play for the passion, and they're not going to play for the love of the sport. The scholarship is more than enough. If you're one of those, let me know why you think that way. I'm very interested to hear your side of the story. But as far as I'm concerned, I am super ecstatic, super happy that this is happening. But let me know down below if you guys think this is a good. Tweet at me at @hardtohandlesports_. Tweet at me. Let me know if you think this is a good idea and why, or if it's not a good idea, if this is going to ruin college sports and why. And the last topic I want to talk about, Sha'Carri Richardson gets a 30-day suspension by the Olympics for testing positive for weed. Like, this is disappointing for me in so many levels. I'm disappointed because I wanted to see Richardson do the women's 100, fastest woman alive. She was going to probably break the Olympic world record. She was going to steal all the headlines. She looks so cool with her hair flowing, her orange hair, her long nails, her tattoos. She was ready to become the face of the women's 100-meter race. And now we won't be able to see her. So I'm disappointed. Selfishly, I'm disappointed for me because I don't get to see it. I'm disappointed for her because it's a great opportunity. She was becoming a star. And I'm disappointed in the Olympics because they seem to be stuck in past times. Like, the state that she did weed in is legal. It's legal in, like, I believe, like 21 states in the States. It just seems like they're stuck in the Stone Age. Weed is not a sports enhancement. It doesn't enhance you in any ways. She said she smoked it because her mom died and she was, battling depression, or she was very down. Obviously so, her mom died. And I just think weed is not one of those drugs that you should be testing for in the Olympics anymore. Like it's really not a performance. It's not going to help you run any faster. And if Sha'Carri Richardson was, for the lack of better words, dumb enough to smoke, like, let's say right before the 100 meters, it was not going to benefit her. So, like, it's not, and you're allowed to drink. So, like, she could have been drunk going into the women's 100, and that would have been perfectly fine. No one would have batted an eye. People would have just said, like, oh, that's very dumb. Why would she do that? But it's allowed. But, like, if she would have been high, like, and all these scenarios are just crazy because it would have never happened. She was not running high. She got high off the court, off the field, off the track and field, and she tested positive for it. And now she's getting suspended, and we're not going to see her in the hundreds. We might see her in the 4x100s, but it just seems like the Olympics are stuck in Stone Age, and we got to keep moving forward. And it's just very hypocritical of them when they allow, like, you could literally be drunk in the Olympics and no one bats an eye, but she tested positive for weed and everyone's going crazy and they want to suspend her. Let her run. But I'm saddened by this. I know how much this meant to Sha'Carri Richardson, but I like the attitude that she's taking. She's going on to talk shows. She's giving her side of the story. She's saying, like it must be really, really hard for her to talk about this too, because she keeps on having to talk about how sad her mom passing away made her, and how she's been dealing with, like, that sadness and that realization that her mom is gone. And, weed helped her, relax and take the edge off a little bit. And now, because she's in the spotlight and because this is happening, she just has to keep reliving those moments day in and day out, and she can't seem to get away with it. So I just, for Richardson's sake, I just hope she has a good support team. I hope her team is behind her. Her family is behind her, and I hope she's getting through. I know this must be really, really hard on her, like, mentally, and I just hope her mental health is good, or is not like deteriorating. I know it's hard. It's gonna be hard for it to be like amazing, or just for her to be all super jolly and just, think that everything is fine. But everything happens for a reason. I like the attitude that she has. She's already saying like, all these people that think they're perfect, that are judging me, good for you. I'm happy that you guys are perfect. I'm paraphrasing. She said something along those words, and she said, I might not be, the Olympic champion this year, but I am going to be the world champion next year when she does the world competition for track and field. So I like that positive attitude that she has, and I think the Olympics has to reconsider like what they're testing for. Like, we're moving forward. We're not stuck in the Stone Age. They should never even be testing for marijuana. I know the NBA is not going to test for it anymore. The NFL is moving towards that direction too. They're not going to test for marijuana. So I think that's where we gotta start heading, as like all sports. We gotta start heading in that direction. And like as the years go by, we're starting to see the benefits of marijuana as as a supplement instead of using painkillers, which painkillers are super addictive. They ruin livers, they ruin careers. Taking painkillers is not, as far as I'm concerned, you shouldn't. If you have the opportunity to smoke weed or take painkillers, by all means. Weed is way healthier. Painkillers, all these other pharmaceuticals that they're trying to push on these athletes, like, come on. Like, what are we doing? Why are we stuck in the Stone Age? What are we doing? This should never be a story, not in 2021. And I just feel for Sha'Carri Richardson. I hope that, like I said already, I hope she has a strong support team. I hope she's doing okay. I just really feel really sad for her, because I was super excited for her to do good in the Olympics. I was going to definitely tune in. And this must just be devastating, all the work that she's put in to get to this level, and to be taking it away just like that. Like, it's very disappointing, and I hope we move forward and we don't hear similar stories like this anymore. But that should do it for the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast, episode 55. As always, continue to watch sports, continue to have a good time. Tune in on the next episode. Wimbledon is heating up. The Final 8 is coming up. Semifinals of the Euros start tomorrow. The finals start tomorrow. The Olympics are right around the corner. It's a good time to be a sports fan. I hope you guys are enjoying all your sports. I hope the teams you guys are rooting for have a lot of success. And I hope you guys are back here for episode 56 of the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. Wherever you're listening to this, subscribe. Thank you so much for listening to me. This has been around 53 minutes. It's a long time to listen to me. Have a good rest of your day. I am out.